Hi all, let's look at another amazing game of the Test 30 Leela network. So this is Leela ID 30868 against Laser 1.6. So David Grosvenor provides this amazing game, 40 moves per 2 minutes, fast and furious time control with a 2-second increment per move. E4, E5, so Leela playing white, F4, the King's Gambit. And actually we transpose, though it's not accepted, we transpose into a Vienna game. Knight C6 is played here. Now white should be wary here of not taking on E5. That would be a bit of a disaster after check. Total disaster. White could resign. For example here, queen takes E4 check. And actually things could even get even worse with bishop C5. That's a quick way of losing here. So you don't really want to take on E5. Yeah, this would be like dreadful, for example, like this. I think I've actually had this in bullet chess, this position, playing black, thankfully. So anyway, knight C6, we have knight C3. This is not thought to be good, this continuation after knight F3, because black, according to line book, is doing better with G5. And this is why I avoid this line myself when I've played the Vienna game. If knight C6 has been played, I usually play G3. Just to clarify what I'm talking about there, if I'm starting off with the Vienna game and they play knight C6, I don't play F4, I'll play G3. However, to knight F6, F4 seems to me to be more dangerous. That's a personal preference. So anyway, we transpose into the Vienna game here, and G5, which is the critical test, isn't played. In researching this video, I have a bit of trivia for you. D4, D6 is not so good for black. G4 has to be continued to critically test white. For example, so winning the piece, and this position is going to be better for black, technically. Although it is a dangerous initiative. White has a dangerous initiative. It may be able to create some practical pressure. But, fascinatingly, to me at least, here in this line, if we look at G5, D4, D6, it turns out D5 is strong. For example, knight E5 check, and there's a really amusing variation here. Amusing variations. On bishop D7, this is strong with H4, undermining black. That's going to be actually quite pleasant for white with a small edge. If black fractures the pawns, there's queen D2 to defend both C3 and F4, and this should be a small edge for white. But the amusing thing here is also on C6, D takes, this line takes, and here queen D5, hitting the rook, hitting F7, and strangely, you might think that queen takes E5 is not working to win the rook on H8, because actually black gets a lot of compensation here. After queen D4, black's actually got a small edge. But there is a way of playing this with queen takes B5 check to put a bishop on D7 to interrupt black's D-file control, and actually now take on E5, now take the rook, and you'll notice the queen can return back to D4 with a big advantage. So some amusing variations I checked out in passing. But anyway, back to the main story. Knight F6 was played, not G5. So not a critical test. We have bishop C4, bishop B4. Here, another little trap not to fall into, taking just queen E2 will be winning material for white. Knight D5, that's end of game. For example, here, knight takes C7 check, forking king and queen. So bishop B4, we have white castling. D6. Now we have knight D5, black castles, C3, bishop A5, D4, so constructing a nice centre. And if white gets that semi-open F-file, there's often dangerous practical pressure. Knight takes, E takes, knight E7, bishop takes F4, H6, A4, as though basically another 2 moves, B4, bishop goes back, A5, thanks very much, trapping the bishop. So black has to be careful here, and plays C6, giving the bishop an escape square back. If needed, D takes, which opens up for the moment the light square bishop. B takes. And now, very, very strong, powerful move. White to play. I wonder if you can guess it. So how would you proceed with attacking intentions in this position? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay. Very, very nice move. Knight h4. This is facilitated by this queen being blocked by the knight here. And it makes way for queen h5. And then we've got stuff like bishop takes h6 going on. Black played bishop c7 here. Just to show you some fun stuff. g6 we just take on h6. Thanks very much. d5 then bishop d3. This position with queen d2 and then taking on h6 is a lot of fun. For example here. Thanks very much. Big advantage. Bishop e6. Take on e6. Queen d2. And here white's going to get at least a small edge in this kind of position. Okay, so it's interesting, the alternatives. But we have actually bishop c7 being played, which supports the idea of d5 hitting that f4 bishop and hitting this bishop. Now the queen comes in with the big threat of bishop takes h6, but that's parried with d5. So d5 immediately challenging this bishop and this one. On bishop d7 instead, then this is asking for it. Bishop takes, and then bang, bishop takes f7. A rook left, potentially. That does only in a short-term sense stop the dangers. But here it's devastating with rook f6. And then black's going to get mated. So this is becoming a crucial defensive move, d5. We have the bishop dropping back. So clearly white's pieces are very well poised against black's king. You might think bishop takes h6 here, just d takes. There's nothing going on because there's knight g6. That's adequate for black. Black would actually be doing very well here, getting the queens off, etc. Piece up. So bishop d3, bishop takes, rook takes, bishop e6. It's not over yet. In fact, this far from over. Rook f3 supports rook g3, supports doubling the rooks. So trouble is brewing for the black king. Queen d6, rook af1, c5. And now a very, very beautiful move. I wonder if you can guess it. Again, 5 seconds to pause the video. White to play. Okay, rook f6. Yep, rook f6. Okay, what does black do here? Black played rook ad8. On g takes, great deal of fun here. Queen takes h6. And say f5, then bishop takes f5. And this position is just winning because of that pin and the mate threat. It's difficult to do anything about that. If we look at this again, if knight g6, then just knight takes g6, threatens queen h8 checkmate, that's totally over. You know, if taking, then we just check and then mate. Thanks very much. So black tried rook ad8, and now bang, rook takes h6, threatening rook h8 checkmate, g takes. Now the other rook comes in. This is really powerful stuff. Bishop f5 just offering the queen. Yeah, it's pretty desperate state of affairs, this pin, this fracturing of the king side. So that was deemed the best defensive try. Leela takes that queen, and now d takes c5 protects the rook. And the game was adjudicated as a win here. It's just all over. Let's have a look. Rook takes h6, for example. Check. This is an interesting continuation. G4 for knight f5 check to be able to take with the pawn. So knight d6, this is just crushing stuff. This ends up absolutely crushing, for example, like this. Bang, knight takes f7 check, and then scooping up some material soon like this is absolutely clear cut. So huge advantage for white in the final position. If you enjoyed this game as much as me, Please look out for the top left box, which should appear shortly, to become a member at chessbowl.net. You can play against other YouTubers. You can also check all the analysis of these games in advance, or updated analysis from the improved menu, learn from the masters, and click YouTube order. You'll see the YouTube order I'm putting these games in before I do these videos. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares, subscribes appreciated. Thanks so much.